Just clicked over. Go ahead. You got sound? All right. Good morning. Chair of the Custer County Board of Commissioners. I will call this meeting of the BOCC to order. And if you would join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. I have the invocation for you. Let us pray. Heavenly Father God, we thank you for all our blessings, but most of all for thy only begotten Son, Jesus Christ. We ask in his name to please bless this meeting of the Custer County Board of Commissioners. Send down this morning thy Holy Spirit, who strengthens all Christians with wisdom, patience, kindness, and goodness, so that we can solve all the perplexities, problems, and choices that come before us today. We ask your healing blessings on Clint as he struggles with his health. And finally, we ask for your blessings and love for all our citizens of this great county. Grant us the grace to ask what thou would have us to do, that the spirit of wisdom may save us from all false choices, and that in thy light we may see light through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Kelly, could we get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Day,
Present.
Commissioner Kanda,
Here.
Commissioner Flower,
Present.
and Clerk to the Board, Kelly Camper,
Sure.
so far.
Okay.
All right, we'll start with you, Gayla, for our audience introductions.
Daily Day, Wetmore.
Seth Bender, Kyle Hellenbold, Johnson.
Jennifer Creed, Admiral.
And then I think we might have we've got a few online. So if anybody goes to speak later, if you could ID yourself for the record, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. And also, I did not mention silence at this time. 25th and the 31st.
I would move that we approve the minutes for January 10, 25, and 31.
I'll second it.
A motion on the floor to approve the minutes for January 10th, 25th, and the 31st. Any discussion, gentlemen?
Man, that's good.
Is that going to get us everything prior to that's done? Can't remember.
No,
We got
but
some in.
I wanted to, for 23, I want to keep, well, like, I'm still catching everyone.
Yeah, looks good. Thank you.
Anything else? All right, those in favor of approving the minutes for January 10th, 25th, and 31st, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Commissioner items. Commissioner Flower.
Thank you, sir. Just a couple of things on my calendar, not a big deal because early in the month, February 2nd, I did attend the Custer Emergency Services meeting. They had it over at Search and Rescue. Again, Bill Christie chaired that meeting, did a good job. And Christy Coleman was there, she's back from her trip, and so we had a good meeting, discussed several things, and I think things are moving on there. So, and then yesterday, I sat in on the school/road and bridge fuel meeting. We had talked about trying to start that agreement, have that IGA in place by I think the 1st of March it was, but that's changed now. I think they're going to wait until their fiscal year ends, so probably July 1 when we will have that. I had told them I would get them a couple of copies of some IGAs that they could look at, and the school said they would be willing to draft the IGA initially and have their attorney look at it, and then we'll look at it when they're done All right. I had a question posed to me what our settlement agreement with the newspaper of record was on the charges. I couldn't remember. So I don't know if you guys remember that or not, but I called down there 10 cents a line for statutory and 35 cents a line for non-statutory. And for some reason that just got by me. No idea. But that's where we're at with our agreement with the Web Mountain Tribune,
10 and
10 and 35.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I remember that during the,
Do you, man? I could not remember. I know we talked about it, but I could never remember what we decided, so. And we are moving forward with the carpet on the courts side of the building. Check, kind of ran that down yesterday to see where we're at. The material has been paid for, and so it's been ordered or will be ordered this week. And that will include the judge's chambers, clerk's office, the court security office, and the courtroom and the vestibule on the courtroom. So, and then when we get that ready to go, then we will, that was the material we will still owe for the labor. So I don't know when that project's going to start, but I suspect it's going to be a month or so. They're hoping to finish getting all that, getting all that painted. They did paint the clerk's office over the weekend. I was in on Friday and then we're painting on it, so. And then once we recarpet that, then they're gonna resituate some of their furniture in there. So that should get us in pretty good shape. They're kind of hoping maybe to paint the whole courtroom as well before the carpet. We'll just have to see how that goes. Check the budget and go from there, so. It would make sense if they can get that painted before the carpet, new carpet goes in, be a lot easier, safer. That's all I have.
right, sure. Mr. Canada.
Yeah, it's a couple of little items. I was down at the road and bridge, and I want you to know that Vince is multi-purposed and tasked, and he and his good admin painted the office. I don't know if you noticed that, but it's no longer mustard green or red or black, yellow, whatever
It was supposed to be kind of a yellow, but it wasn't cat yellow.
Not bright blue. Anyway, it looks good, and we did do that gas discussion with the school. I was there also. Anyway, I did talk to our new OEM for an hour or so the other day, just to see where she is, how she's going, and what her plans are. She's going to be reporting to duty on the 13th, but she's going to be doing it remote. She's going to be at a conference, and on cybersecurity as well is there for all the OEM in the state. And so I'd asked Vernon to check in as well with her, because they have money to work cybersecurity, and that's a big deal right now. And Vernon will be the glue between all the emergency services we have, sheriff, fire department, et cetera. So IT is critical, and OEM's got the money to send him, so that's a good thing. The airport board also met, and Braden was there, had a good meeting to bring things up to speed, and they're working with Braden to get everything online and figure out how to get their budget reconciled with what we've got. And it's working out good. Crack seal is still to come, and that's going to start sometime in March. We'll see how the weather depends on the weather. And I think, let's see, I'm just looking forward to this attainable housing stuff that's going to go on. And it looks like it's going to be interesting. And from there, I think that's all we have right now. I have for now.
Did you and Vince get together on in that spot?
Yes,
out there?
I meant to bring that up. That's why I brought Vince up. Yeah, we sure did. And they're going to get together with Brian Anderson and take a look. I looked at that piece of ground. It's gonna be easy. It's just a simple scraping it down and sloping it down so they can park in that empty lot right beside the office building. And do it the same way they did it with the hangers on the other side. We put all that fill in to keep track of the time and the fuel. Everything's gonna work out. All right.
Follow up if I may.
Yes.
Thank you. So Vernon reached out to me and said that you had.
I'd asked him to get
go
with
to
me.
the OEM thing, or yeah, the OEM conference, SEMA conference, and he had indicated that he thought there would be enough meat on the bone there for cybersecurity for him to go, that he would use sick and vacation time. And I said, well, absolutely not. If
No.
the commissioners asked you to go up there, you need to do that
I told him that,
on your own, I mean, on the county payroll. So I sent him an email and also told him that, so he'd have a record of that.
yeah, good.
No reason for him to.
Yeah, there's a travel budget that has enough in it for
sick and
on the
vacation,
OEM side.
so,
Yeah. I think I saw your email.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't
I
see
was in
that.
agreement with that.
Okay, good.
Okay. I will be short and sweet here today. So I made it to part of that CES meeting online. Did not make the whole thing, or I guess maybe I did, yeah.
You stayed tuned.
I couldn't see you and Jordan up there up front, so I did get them to turn the lights on so you could see them online. It was pretty dark in there. But good meeting, I believe, and I'm looking forward for our new OEM to come on board as well. Did try to attend that Wednesday meeting for the attainable housing, but was not able to log on that, so I did send Charles an email on that.
That was your affordable housing board meeting, or?
That was their
Economic
weekly,
development?
that was their
Oh, their
weekly
weekly,
update
yeah.
on the grant and RFP. And that would be about all I would bring today, other than what you gentlemen have brought up, so. We don't have an attorney with us today, admin assistant items. Okay. Public comment. If anyone has anything they'd like to bring up at this time that is not on the agenda, feel free to do so.
I don't see anything on your end.
And nothing here. All right. Staff reports, if we could. Is Jared?
Is Jared out there? Galen?
He had sent me a message after what. And I said, he is, he's. out here.
Way to go, Jared.
Oh, no, it's good.
Shut.
Are you? keeping that?
No, he's not.
No sense in torture.
You have a copy of that?
I do have one.
Okay.
Actually, right here. This is-
Oh, there you
Signature
go.
copy right
Hopefully
here.
there not a whole lot more to report than what's on that sheet.
All right, let's see here, if I can find that maybe.
And you're still
Hard copy too.
good on your hanging tough on the firewood and everything like that then?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there is one relatively significant issue in the veteran world. I wasn't necessarily going to bring it up today. Oh, you got one. I got them. The Veterans Trust Fund, which is, it's been around the county for quite a while. It's the big $75,000 grant. It's administered by the VFW. I guess it is no longer operational. in the county. And according to a representative from the VFW, they're not going to renew that grant for the next fiscal year.
They give a
So,
reason.
From the current administrator that I talked to, one was the time commitment for a volunteer that has to manage it. And then kind of a lack of interested candidates that are willing to take it over from the current administrator.
That's a heck of a no.
So I'm kind of scrambling to try to work with some other organizations to see if we can't somehow because I don't think a VSO can technically apply for that grant. I think the state, the last time I talked to them, have made it clear that I think it has to go through like a nonprofit organization. So we have that partnership with Mount Carmel and the Veteran Connections program that I think, we donated $10,000 to, and Kirkpatrick put 5 in last year. So I'm going to try to meet with those guys and see if there's
So that was 75K normally every year. Is that what it was?
Yep. So a pretty big
It's a
asset.
big deal.
I probably field no less than, I mean, a dozen, maybe 2 dozen calls a week about
Yeah, I
that.
know you did.
About that fund and trying to help, offset either medical bills or heating bills or car repair, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a pretty big grant. So I mean, if you hear grumblings around the community, I've tried to kind of spread the word to as many veterans as possible that there's going to
Too
be
late to apply.
I believe so. I think that the deadline, don't quote me on this. I thought it was the end of this month, or the end of next month. And
Into this month being February.
yes, sir. And I believe it's a pretty lengthy grant application process to go through. So
Do you think that's something the county could apply for?
that I don't know. I do have the name and the number of a lady at the state that, kind of is the overseer of that grant, so to speak. Lisa Stam is her name. I will email you her phone number and her contact. The VTF administrator did say one reason,
STAMM.
I believe so, yes, sir. Why they're not reapplying is some of the bureaucracy at the state level to access some of those funds. I know that currently right now that fund has like $5,000 or $10,000 of outstanding payments that, contractors that did work for vets are waiting to get paid, and the state is not releasing the money right now, which obviously makes,
That's
contractors.
statewide or Custer County?
From what I know, it's Custer County, but I've heard that it's a statewide problem as well, but I haven't confirmed that with any other, VTF administrators. So yeah, a pretty big hit to the
That's worth
community.
bringing up. Thanks for bringing
Could
it up.
you check in and see if we're eligible to apply or?
I will reach out today, and I'll try to get with, I haven't been able to get a hold of Bert either. To kind of see if they have some other higher level contacts that we could talk to. But yeah, I don't know if counties can.
Gee whiz, when I talked to him 3 weeks ago, he didn't say anything about this.
Yeah, I had just talked to, it's Jeremy Labbit who manages that. And I talked to him last week, and that was kind of the rundown that he had given me.
It's disappointing they're not gonna do that.
I mean, it's a lot of work. I don't, the service that they provided was pretty essential for a long time, and I tip my hat to them, and it is an immense amount of work for a volunteer to handle, just the volume and the amount of paperwork that you have to go
You gotta
through.
prioritize things. You gotta get there people to do it.
Yeah, it's really, really tough to manage. So we still have that Vet Connect program through Mount Carmel, but it's obviously a lot less money. So we've kind of had to pinch pennies, and I've had to turn quite a few people away and just say, hey, we don't have the ability
If
to.
we're eligible, get us a number.
Okay, yeah, I will. I'll look into it. I'll get you her number at the state level, and please call around to some other county VSOs and see what they do. So.
Yeah, I think it's critical people understand your office wasn't involved or in charge of that Veterans Trust Fund.
No, historically, the VSO office has just acted as a broker
Right.
for that. If vets come in and they have problems, I obviously don't write those checks or have access to those funds. I can just connect them to that VTF administrator and then kind of help either find contractors or parts or whatever we need to do to solve the particular situation that we're trying to solve. So yeah, it's not a county VSO service.
I know.
It was kind of a perk in the county, and
But with the highest per capita veteran population, it's a big deal.
It is, and it's needed for sure. And, like I said, the people that I've talked to about it are, disappointed, not upset. They understand that it's a process to do that, and individuals have to volunteer their time in order to manage it. So, yeah, I think they get it. It's just going to be a change.
Right? Truck still weren't running.
It problems.
Okay. Anything
We accept,
Unless there's
ESO
anything.
report.
I'll second it.
Motion on the floor to accept the veteran service report for the month of January. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Jared.
Appreciate it.
The other one, sir.
Enjoy the rest of your exciting day.
You too.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, you can say thank you.
And the sheriff's office is Rich out here.
It was.
Last year,
Slammed the door in his face and he left. You did.
no.
No, yeah.
We'll see you out there. I have a cell phone.
I do.
I do, I texted.
Oh, there he is right there.
In the court.
You were hiding the other direction on it.
Good morning.
Morning,
sir.
What do you say, Rich? Thanks for being here.
I do have some handouts.
Thank you, sir.
I need one. For sure. Thank you. Yeah.
Kind of taking the whole row up on your grade.
Well, welcome to your first big report.
Yep. 1 month on the job.
Yeah, how about that?
Yep.
Thanks for being willing to come in. Okay. Make for some good continuity and relationships and understanding on our part, sure. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Yeah. So.
How has it been going this month then?
Good. So I got a couple of things to go over with you. The jail transition was smooth. We, at the end of that, we did have 3 out-of-county prisoners here from Huerfano County, and we called them and they picked up their guys and took them home. We didn't have any Custer County prisoners in our jail because our prisoners are already at Fremont because of medical issues. So far, since we've done that, we've done 10 transports and we've used the posse and our own staff. We moved, as of February 4, detention staff members are moving from the jail budget to the patrol budget, and 1 detention staff moved to the court security budget. We are required to do an evidence audit every year and also at the change of every sheriff's office.
Hey, can I make a comment?
You bet.
We get there. I'm back to the jail transition because I think it's important to hear this. You told me and others that it's about the unintended consequences of a legislator. The person that sponsored the bill that caused this to happen on all rural counties was talking to him. I guess you were there. And you might
Yes, sir.
tell the story.
So there's a new jail standard
What caused this to
that
happen.
happened, and it was passed last July and it goes in effect next July. And so we became compliant with that new standard in November just because we need to be on the ball. And it has to do with behavioral health counseling in the jail, which is a priority for me. So if we get people in the jail, I don't want them to come back. But we'd like to help them with whatever their issues are. And the vendor that we chose for that is a company called HCP Foundations, and they provide medical and behavioral services to small rural jails. And they were a good partner for us. Well, they were not happy that we and 16 other jails were closing. And so they actually went to Denver and met with Senator, Representative Amelie, I believe is her name. And then Amelie said that that was never her intention. Is that all
Wanting
these
jails
small
closing over
yeah,
this, just
just
didn't
to-
understand what the impact would be.
Right.
But it helped us in the long run, but or in the near term anyway,
Right.
until we do get a jail.
And so we still do have a detention sergeant and 2 deputies. And yesterday, actually, a person turned himself in, they had a state patrol warrant. And so we fingerprint them, we enter into the computer system, and the computer system that we use is the same one that the Fremont jail is. So we're literally entering the data into their system. That person was able to do a video advisement and get their bond taken care of right here, so we didn't have to drive them down. So if there's any chance at all of them being able to bond out or do a PR bond, we don't drive them down there.
Wasting time and money.
Yeah, we'll wait some time. But we've done about 10 transports from people there and back.
Hey, thanks for the update.
You betcha.
So a couple quick questions, if we can go down through as we go, and, so you have how many staff connected to the jail now?
So when we first talked before the year, we had a total of 9 staff, which is a sergeant, a corporal, and 7 deputies.
Right.
And the reason, and that sounds like a lot of staff, but you have to have 2
Right.
at a time, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We've now cut that down to 3 staff,
So the detention side has
3
3
employees.
staff.
Yep.
And you anticipate that will stay that way?
Yes.
So one might ask the question, and I want you to answer
Sure.
this publicly, that's why I'm asking you. So we close the jail, why do we have to have jail staff?
So we still have people who are on probation or parole that have to come in 7 days a week to do drug testing. And so that's done by the detention staff. And then they also work with the courts here. If somebody has a court appearance, that we go and pick them up. In fact, today we have a person who I believe is currently in El Paso County. They were picked up on our warrant. So we're arranging transport for them to go to El Paso, pick the person up, drive them to Fremont, and then come back home. So that literally does happen 7 days a week.
Right, we still have detention.
Yes.
Responsibilities and
Yes.
activities going on. So just because we closed the jail didn't mean it all went away.
That's right.
You still have to have, in an emergency, hold them up here,
Right.
if you had to.
And your resolution authorized to have 2 booking cells.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
on off
Open
chance
just
that
in case.
somebody came in and there's a blizzard or
Right.
something. So
Everybody.
For instance, the guy that turned himself in the other day.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there are also transport deputies as well, correct?
that's correct.
Good, thank you for that.
Thank you. On to the next topic, which is the evidence audit. In November, we discovered 550 evidence CDs that were not in our evidence system and were not securely stored. And so we've added those to our system. We also found 6 evidence items that had been previously listed as destroyed, and they were not destroyed. And our 2021 evidence audit, we had 12 missing pieces of evidence. And this one that we just concluded had 25 pieces of evidence missing. And it's interesting to me to note that 87% of our evidence is actually electronic evidence. So we've definitely moved. And I have the numbers, for how many guns we have and some drugs and different things, but the electronic evidence is where the bulk of our stuff is.
That's amazing.
So where the bulk of the missing items are as well.
Yes.
So I'm assuming, since you didn't make a special notation, that it's not the
Not the end of the
weapons or
world, is it?
Vehicles or something like.
Right,
that
right,
that's
yep,
Missing,
yep.
so.
The only odd thing that jumped out on there was a motorcycle frame was missing. And a lot of this is just paperwork problems that when we disposed of it, we didn't fill the proper paperwork out or
Yeah,
vice
stuff lying
versa.
around should have been gone.
Yep.
Let me ask a question.
You may.
So is it possible to utilize part of the jail pod for something else? Makes me think of evidence storage. if we went in there and completely sectioned off, I'm thinking there's what, 3 on each side or 4?
There's a total of 7.
7, 3 on one. 4
And
on
the
other.
shower
And the
messes up the
shower,
count on your one side.
So let's say we kept the front 2 as holding cells and securely walled off the rest of that. Could that be used for evidence storage and access maybe from the south in a different door? Or
Could be.
I just wonder about what we're gonna do with that facility.
And I did have the coroner ask me about placing a Connex container inside my fence area to store his evidence as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Just thought.
The closer you get to the walls going south, those are not insulated well.
Would make sense to use one closer to the door and then. Are we gonna need to maintain that security yard, that exercise yard and all that? I mean, that could go away, right?
Could just,
And then maybe put a door in there and access those southernmost 3 or 4 pods or jet cells for extra.
yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to use it for storage if we have to go through the holding cell
Right,
area,
right,
right?
absolutely.
But if we went in there and
Go through the kitchens.
I'm
yeah.
assuming you'd have to put metal. Do something very secure,
East,
Yeah.
block it in even, I don't know, but maybe it's something we ought to start thinking about.
The ceilings are unusually high in there. But like you said, we could possibly make a cinder block wall. And then you still would have the shower
Right,
in the secure
Yes.
area. And then that, when you look in the jail, the first cell here is
Yes.
our behavioral
Right.
health cell.
Still
And that's
available.
important to keep it. So that's
Right.
your 2 important things would be in a secure area.
so. Yeah, and then what about the kitchen?
So we still have the kitchen. We are going through the food. We wanted to keep the capability to make like a sandwich or something if the person gets stuck here over meals. And then the food that we can donate, we're actually going to give to care and share. But I don't plan on dismantling the kitchen, and I'd like to keep it.
You never know.
1, if we need it again, but 2, even like in a disaster, that could be a way to
That's
prepare
what I
us.
was thinking. Yeah. But you don't think if we did something to the south part of that jail pod that we probably wouldn't need to use it again for housing? Thank you.
I don't know, maybe we could make a cinder block wall with a door.
Good. Mhm.
I hadn't thought of that, but if you want,
Yeah,
you
it's
can.
something to ponder on. I just think we need to look down the road and try to have a plan about how we're gonna utilize that building.
And I would still consider it high security, and we have, cameras and alarms, and the door tells us every minute it gets opened. So.
Thank you.
You bet. Next item is post-training. All of our staff completed their mandatory post-training requirements for last year. We had been suspended from post for 6 months for a training violation the previous year. I attended the sheriff's winter training conference in January. The undersheriff attended the winter training conference for undersheriffs in January, and then Paul and Bree completed a law enforcement admin training at the same conference.
All 3 of those were at the same conference.
And they're just staggered over different days, so we weren't all gone at the same time. Next one, statistics. We responded to 5,458 incidents. 59% of those were in unincorporated Custer County, 28% were in West Cliff, and 13% were in Silver Cliff. Some big projects that we completed in January is that we placed trauma kits, which are above and beyond like normal first aid kits in every vehicle that the sheriff's office uses. And we had bought those with the emergency manager in the 4th quarter using a Homeland Security grant because they're kind of pricey. We also put a bag valve mask in all the vehicles, and that's an advanced airway thing to use in a CPR situation. And it's the exact same bag valve mask that the ambulance uses. So because the deputy, in my opinion, is going to beat the ambulance to say a heart attack call, we have the AED in there. We're already using the mask to ventilate them. And as soon as the ambulance gets there, all they do is plug their oxygen tube in our mask, and there's no interruption. And then we also placed naloxone in all the vehicles, which is going to be used for opiate overdoses. All the paid and volunteer staff, which is 30, were trained on how to use the trauma kits, the advanced airway, and the Narcan by the ambulance service. We did not have a bulletproof vest for the dog, and a local citizen, Mike Pinnica, donated the funds for that. We ordered the vest, and now it's in use. And then we also got a donated bulletproof glass window from the Castland Glass in Canyon City that we're going to put in our front lobby to replace the glasses from there.
Quick question.
Yep.
So these are things that you did in the first month you were in office?
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
In the posse, and I'm glad that the community's here, but I just cannot tell you how much we rely on the volunteers and the posse, men and women. So they donated over 3,000 hours to the community, which would be the equivalent of 1.5 full-time employees. We had a prisoner that we were keeping at a different facility because of health reasons. He had a massive heart attack and had to get flown to Colorado Springs. And then when they're in the hospital, you have to guard them 24 hours a day. Well, we had no deputies to go. The posse stepped up and they worked 8-hour shifts, 24 hours a day for 3 or 4 days
In spring.
and in the springs. And they very, very incredible resource to the community. One problem is that the posse did not all have bulletproof vests. And so we had allowed them to purchase their own vest, which would cost $2,000, or we used expired vests if they wanted. And so we were able to use community funds that were donated and actually purchase the vests and shipped them out. And then every member of the posse got one last month. I am going to restart the mounted posse, and I have 3 local cattle women who are going to be the founding members of that. And it's going to be funded primarily by donations. And what I foresee using this for is in parades. And then at the rodeo, I did make a written request to the Saddle Club that we could be part of the opening ceremony. And then even something as rare as like a search and rescue event out across fields on the horses, they can cover way more ground than walkers can. And then I'm also going to reinstate the sheriff's dive team. And that's also manned by volunteers, and it'll be used in donations. And our first meeting of interested people will actually be this Saturday morning.
I got a quick comment to make. I mentioned this at the airport as well. Keep track of all your volunteer items, your donations and all that, because that can be used for matching kind for grants. And it's a big deal. So
Definitely.
keep track of those kinds of hours and those gifts.
And then one other thing on the Atlanta posse that, I mean, we are kind of a Western town. So I think the sheriff's office should have some horses, and then we also want to use them on holidays. Yeah, we want to use them in like holiday weekends in Westcliff. So when the tourists are walking around, they'll actually see the deputies up on the horses, and they can give them directions to, whatever it is they're looking for.
I took a picture of the ceiling, Rich.
Last year at the end of the year, we did put 3 new vehicles into service. Some people in the community asked me about that. They were actually ordered in 2021, and it just a backlog from COVID. It took over a year to get them out there. One of those vehicles was paid 75% by a USDA grant. The county commissioners did authorize us to buy another vehicle this year. I've been told that we can't order it until September, and it won't be fulfilled until January of 24. And
Well, the miles are going to be a 21.
no, it'll be it'll be but it's a Tahoe. And so you would say, well, why don't you just go buy a civilian Tahoe? The civilian Tahoe is actually significantly more expensive. The police Tahoe, it's probably worth waiting the extra time to get the cheaper. And they said the suspension is a little lower for stability at higher speed. And as anyone that lives here knows, the gravel roads take a toll on the vehicle. And my goal is to keep each vehicle 6 years and then phase them out at the 150,000 mile mark. I am applying for another USDA grant where they pay 75% of the vehicle. And then we're also researching ordering a new transport van for the jail that'll be significantly better fuel economy. We'll keep the big 15-passenger van But we only use that 1 out of 36 trips to carry 2 people, and it's not worth
Waste of time.
driving up and down the hill for 8 miles to the gallon. We did have a budget overage in December, and that was primarily due to salary vacancy savings. We made several large purchases. Our January budget is on track. Some of the large purchases had to do with evidence, kind of like some things we had to do anyways. And then it hit this month's budget, but we did order, so hope that can get a couple of those onto last year's budget. Some hot topics going forward. I did meet with the U.S. Forest Service fire officials, getting ready for the upcoming fire season. I did ask the guy in charge of the fire, what are the high risks in Custer County? And so he said the Wet Mountain area, in his opinion, and also the Rosita area. And so that leads me to my number one priority of coming up in the fire season is we've got to get community participation in the Everbridge emergency notification system. And I talked with Adrian, the outgoing emergency manager, and we've only had 1/3 of the people sign up for it. And that's unacceptable. And, you know, if the fire hits in a rural area with not a lot of houses, there's a chance that maybe deputies could go door to door, but in a place like Rosita, there's no way. I mean, they take 100 deputies to go do door-to-door notification. So we really rely closely on this Everbridge system. It's a quick process, and you can actually do the whole thing from your phone. It's also on the front page of the Custer County government website. Right at the bottom, you can click a button, and it takes you through the process. You can download an app for your iPhone or your Android phone. I am going to work with the new OEM on messaging prior to the fire season. We are going to be, the sheriff's office is going to be at the health fair, and we're going to be helping people sign up. And part of it is there's a little bit of a hang up because I think people aren't totally comfortable with the technology. But if they bring their phone to the health fair, we'll click the buttons in front of them, sign them up, and they'll be good to go. I also would like to work with the commissioners to hold a community meeting in each of your 3 geographic districts to sign people up. And a local businessman told me that he will donate a pop-up tent that will have like a sheriff thing on it. And what I would foresee is going to each of your districts, say on a Saturday morning, we'll advertise it on Facebook and in the papers. And then if people come, we'll again do the process
With us attending.
with you attending, if you mind. I'll work with you guys on picking a good day for that. We did request that the director of FreeCom, which is our 911 provider in Canyon City, to attend the next CES meeting where the emergency service heads meet to explain the Everbridge system. We did attempt to use it back in August. Fremont County Sheriff chased the suspect into our county, and he got away on foot. And it's in the Dilly Ranch area, if you're familiar with that area, between Oak Creek Road and Dilly Ranch. And so the guy's on the run, and he presumably was armed and dangerous. And so we sent out the emergency message to tell those people to shelter in place. Well, half of them didn't get the message, and then people in totally random areas of the county got the message that didn't
The
apply.
whole
to
county
them.
was diving undercover.
Yeah. And so we really got to get those things tuned up before the fire season gets here. There's actually a news article right now on Channel 11 News in Colorado Springs on their internet page. And they had a fire over on East Powers in a Summer Grace Ackerman area, if you're familiar with that. And they did the same thing. So they set up a very narrow, defined thing to evacuate homes in one of those really tight neighborhoods where the houses are close together. I used to actually live there. And then the message just went berserk, and it hit 5 different counties, and their 911 system crashed because so many people were calling in like,
Where's the fire? Where's the fire? Where
Yeah.
do we go?
And so we can't afford something like that to happen here. And then my last agenda going forward is we're going to do a tip-a-cop in conjunction with Silver Cliff Mountain Inn, aka Willie's. That'll be on Saturday, February 25th. And the purpose of that is we're collecting donations to replenish the Bulletproof Vest Fund. And unfortunately, the Bulletproof Vests expire every 5 years, so it's kind of an ongoing process to keep money going in. There is a federal grant that we're applying for that would pay up to half of the cost of the new vests.
Still a lot of money.
It is.
I see you skipped for your new hires.
Oh, yeah, super important topic. So the new hire, I did hire Under Sheriff Susan Barnes, and she comes to us with 14 years of experience. She worked in Green Mountain Falls in Teller County. The bulk of her career was at Pikes Peak Community College Police Department, and she's an instructor in many of the things that we need to do when training for us. That's a win for us. And then she most recently worked at a Florence Police to offer on a house here in the county and hopes to close on by the end of the month.
We had one for sale.
Yep. We also hired a Deputy Sheriff Pete Elliott, and he comes to us with 6 years of experience. Last week was his first week on the job, and he's already doing really well. And we're doing an abbreviated field training program with him. And then I did mention that we
Sounds like you've been bored and wish you had more to do. Maybe you hit the button.
I hit the button when I tried to hang my phone up. So
Thank you very much.
thanks, sir.
Greatly appreciate it. He would ask if she could do that. She has to. So we were able to do that.
Morning. Thank you for accommodating. I appreciate it. Good morning.
I'm good.
Right.
Commitments today.
Then I have a sick one. We are rocking and rolling an extension. We are busier than My first meeting with you guys, I talked about our priority being our membership. We started a recruitment campaign and we're having great success with that. Our goal was to be up 15%. We have exceeded that in membership, and also volunteers are up over 20%. So that is fabulous. We have 2 other volunteers. We are working to get them approved and also added. So that will mean even more hands to help teach these kids leadership and programming. So it's very exciting.
Did we get a copy of it? Tim?
I did not. Did you send me? I did yesterday. Let me double. Or it's sitting in my outbox. I'm sorry, I thought I sent that yesterday. So I'll just run through this while she looks to see if she can find it. Yeah, I don't see it. Okay.
It's okay.
My apologies.
We'll
I'll double check it. Anyway.
Track with you.
So continuing programs, we are working with we had a great gingerbread house decorating contest with the library. This is our 3rd year to do that. We estimated we would need 75 kits. We actually had to make more. We had 100 kits picked up from the library and 30 submitted for the contest judging. So that was an excellent return on that event. A lot of families touched. We ran out of red books. We ordered more, so we have red books back in for those that need them. And we've been doing all the normal grazing plans. So we've been working on that. For new programs, we have started a record workbook workshop program every month. We increased the percentage that our 4-Hers need on their record books in order to complete their projects. And we made that 75%, which is very doable, but it's even more doable if you have help along the way. So every month we set up an opportunity for the kids to come, and Caitlin and I and some other leaders work with them to help them meet that goal by the time fair rolls around. We also have started a program at the school, Coffee with 4-H, on Thursday mornings with our high school students. It gives us an opportunity to mentor them and talk them through their projects for the year and other CSU programs. I was trained on the Health Rocks program. It's a health and wellness curriculum that CSU provides. And we also hope to get 4-H kids, the senior kids, to help us with this program as well. I am working at the school every other week. I have 90 minutes with middle school students, some of the middle school students. So we are introducing CSU extension programs as well as this Health Rocks program, which is an anti-drug, live a healthy lifestyle program. Also, we are starting a bridge building contest with the library since the gingerbread contest was so successful. We're looking at other ways to reach out to kids and families, and they do have a lot of interest for families and especially the homeschool community with a STEM project. So we're starting a bridge building contest. We'll have those kits in the library next week, and we'll have that contest finale in March. Leadership Development Conference was our big event in January, and the kids got to go learn about leadership, hear a keynote address, and the most fun thing was they got to spend the day at the Capitol, at the House and the Senate both recognized the 4-H members in attendance, and that was super cool, and they all enjoyed seeing those meetings run.
Is that a state thing or just Custer County there?
It was a state event. For February, we have a jammed up calendar. It is unbelievable how much stuff we have going on. Of course, tomorrow I'll be at the Upper Ark Lead Management Conference. We have our County Area Directors Conference for CSU. 4-H and service, Caitlin and I will both go to that. That's for all the 4-H rules, regulations, trainings, everything for the year there. We have Ag Fest for the 4-H kids in Pueblo, and we have shooting sports safety for the 4-H members. And then all those kids in our community who are showing livestock this year who have not done the meat quality assurance testing will have that trailer here for 2 days. They'll go through all the exhibits, take a test before they can show their livestock at the fair.
Where do in the shooting sports?
We do it at the sheriff's range and we do it at the Cowboy. And then I do have one request, save my request for last. I need to be added to the Custer County Extension checking account. So that motion needs to be made by you in a meeting. It needs to be in the meeting minutes so that I can take that to the bank and give Kelly some relief from signing
soon
all
do
the
you need it?
projects. How soon? As
Like
soon as
today
possible.
or next meeting?
Um,
Tomorrow's the next meeting. We can do it.
we could do tomorrow, would be great. Since I'm sorry you didn't get this report. I don't know where it's lost in cyberland somewhere, but if you could do it tomorrow.
Probably work just as well today as tomorrow because we've already.
Either way, we
Pretty long.
We can do
I would entertain a motion for
I
that.
move we authorize the extension officer,
Regina Foster,
Regina Foster. Maybe a better way,
since that's on my
to be
ID.
a signatory on the checking account.
it. Which bank?
UBB, I suspect. Is
It's
it,
at Kirkpatrick,
is
isn't it?
it Kirkpatrick?
I think
They
it did get moved.
They've been
Kirkpatrick.
swapping them.
Yeah, it's at
Kirkpatrick.
Kirkpatrick.
Second.
Okay, so I do have a motion on the floor to name Regina Foster as a signatory on the
Custer County
Custer
Extension.
Custer County Extension checking account. Any discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you,
Spend it
gentlemen.
all in one place.
It's easier to do these days, I can tell you that. Unbelievable.
Thank you for coming
Thank
down.
you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Thank you for. Yeah, thank you.
Family.
Thanks, Reggie.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hope we're okay.
Thank you for. letting me know.
You get a copy of that yet?
No, no. I will look at it. Well, then you can just email it.
That leaves Braden 4 minutes.
Thank you.
Oh, wait.
I'll do it in 3.
It'll be easy.
Good morning.
Everything's automated.
Good morning, sir.
Thanks.
All right, you did not get an email from me. This is what I have. for you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so this page is just something I'm hoping to do monthly here to give you guys an update as far as what the county looks like as a whole.
Good.
So each month to be on track, if everything were absolutely equal every month, that would be 8.3% used of the budget for expenses or revenue coming in. And so as you kind of walk along here, this is by fund, and then the totals in bold there at the bottom. And I think again, on the second page, I'm not sure why they need to print that twice, but and just working across there, that is you've got the fund name, expense budget. So that's the total expense that we had budgeted for that particular fund. Year-to-date revenue, how much revenue has come in, and that really is just through period 1. So this is just to the end of January. That doesn't include the first few days of February here.
Pretty good.
Current expense, that's what the expense was for January. And then, of course, year to date is going to be the same because that's all we've got for the year to date. Percent used for general fund, for example, is 7.43%. So we're under as far as that goes. 8.3 is what that comes out to. Expense budget balance, that's how much is left. So if we take away the expenses from what we've spent from what the budget is, that's how much is remaining. That next one, year to date revenue over expenses, shows that we have incurred more expenses than revenue in all of our funds except for lodging and tourism and airport. And then those last 2 lines are the cash balance for those funds, which I'll be interested to see if that Virginia and I have been working to see if we can't try to get our numbers to line up better, because it seems like depending on the report that we pull, that cash balance can be different. And so we're trying to focus in on that, but this at least gives you somewhat of an idea of where our cash is, based on my side of things. So,
Good job.
so I will, if that is helpful, I plan to do that every month and show us as a whole where we're at as a county.
I think I like that. It gives us at least an indicator if we're going haywire in one area.
Right. Why are we 25% in January for,
Mhm.
whatever fund? Yeah,
Which could be a valid reason.
right.
If the most of your expenses are incurred all at once at the beginning of the year or something.
And grants are refunded sporadically.
So.
Yeah, I think this will start to give us a little bit of a feel too for kind of the fluctuations within a year. I would suspect that our revenues are going to be high above what we're expecting towards the beginning of the year, the first half of the year, because taxes and everything come in heavy and then they start to taper off. So there's things like that I think it will help us kind of get a better feel for how money moves within the county.
Mhm.
So other quick reports for my office. We're working on kind of revamping and now that year end is done, so W-2s have gone out, 1099s have gone out. If anybody was expecting those and have not received those, please have them contact our office as soon as possible. We can get them a copy. That way it's not lost in the mail or anything like that. But those are out and we're out in time per law. So other than that, I've updated you all on human resources things last meeting. And we're just working on, now that February's a little bit slower, knock on wood, and we're trying to really just take a look at how do we get some processes in our office that will help everything run smoother. So some thoughts there, just again, focusing on like salary schedule, job descriptions, some of the things that we've been talking about for a while, getting those actually planned out and in a place that we can actually start making some more detailed reports on those things once I've had a chance to really strategically look at those. And yeah, we'll keep moving forward.
Good.
And are you still planning on being here for an executive session?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, just verifying.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
So.
The only other thing that I have here is this is just a slight update from, I know you guys have the repairs and maintenance line for tomorrow. And so this is our repairs and maintenance budget for this year. On the back page, I've included the other funds, repair and maintenance lines that I could find. The caveat there is that that's not solely building repairs and maintenance. And so thinking about that a little bit more, it's not going to happen this year, it'll be next year, or even possibly depending on what decision we make moving forward with this process. But I would like to, any department, let me phrase that differently, making a department a point of contact, somewhat a point department for the buildings that they might be in. And then there'd be a building and grounds department for that building as well. So for example, right now the airport has admin and fuel departments within the airport fund. We would add a building and grounds department for the airport, because since they have a building and emergency management, it might make sense to put the SAR building under that. And that's how we keep track of these a little bit better. And then we can pull that department across all the funds and be able to see this is what our total maintenance and repairs are for all of the buildings that Custer County has. Okay, so anyway, just thought that might be some helpful information for tomorrow.
And so with your note there, as far as some of these repairs and maintenance could include vehicles and equipment.
Right.
Is that something that stays that way, or does that need broke out as well?
in that case, I would say it gets broken completely out. So the department would, if
There's
we
different
add
kinds
a
of
building and
maintenance
grounds
all over.
department, yeah.
So-
Then the repairs and maintenance under that would be solely for the building and its functions.
And a separate line for vehicles and equipment.
Right.
Makes
That-
a lot of sense.
Yeah, so not something that really had occurred to me until we started having this conversation, so. I think that could,
You gonna be around tomorrow?
yes, I had not looked at the whole agenda, but
Okay. Let's see.
You have this separate, I just want to see.
Well, just to see where
Buildings and ground or whatever.
that
And
how much
contract,
maybe an option. Don't need it for more, but let me see.
I think it would be helpful if you could.
Second item.
Second item, we got it, thank you.
First,
See our contract,
okay, yeah,
I think. Yeah,
yeah, that sounds good.
All right, thank you.
Well, not quite 3 minutes, but
Well, close enough. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
thank you.
Thanks for coming in, sir. Good day. Here.
Thank you, you guys
Thank you for this morning. We
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Hey, that takes us to Road and Bridge.
There he is.
For you. Good, sir. How are you doing? You got a rabbit in?
Bring it.
Yeah, I brought my
You,
lunch.
you
If it's what I think it is, I don't think you want to be eating it. So,
roadkill.
No, I'm just gonna show you the money that you let me spend on the fuel tank cleaning. That's what come out of the tank.
Yeah,
That's a percentage of that stuff.
That's crazy, isn't it? It's not all of it. but this
No,
is the
that's
type of stuff.
That's what was in the tank. That's what's causing the filter problems.
I'll do it.
This is before they cleaned it.
Just a random sample.
Yep. That's not 8,000
None of the filters
gallons.
are gumming up.
Yep.
But I don't know if you should show that. The school will not want to help. or-
And this is after.
Participate.
Yeah, wow. Crazy.
It's like my tractor. Sediment.
Well, good show and tell.
and you'll notice the lack of red dye.
That bag is amazing. Speaking of which,
Thanks for
I had
bringing
a
it.
question about that since you brought it up. We talked about it yesterday in the meeting. I got to thinking after the meeting now. Why in the world aren't we running red dye? Well, obviously red dye is off road. And most of your equipment is on road, I'm
Correct.
assuming.
Yes.
Could you run red in the
For a while with the red dyed fuel, because they did have red dye for a while. And something in that was causing a lot of filter problems
Yeah.
as well.
I think there's a
That's what come
difference.
out of it.
There's a difference in the antifreeze they put in.
Yeah. Just simpler to stay with Claire.
Oh, yeah, they got us a report, don't we, by golly?
And I met with the crusher guy today. We're gonna start crushing at our pit sometime in March.
Landfill.
Yeah, by the landfill, yeah.
You're gonna put a bid out, is that what you just said?
That's done deal.
Got it. Here, who is it?
Colorado Crushers. He's gonna be up here anyhow doing for private people, so save a little
Easier to
money.
Save some money.
Yeah,
And I understand Pioneer sold.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We're gonna crush 30,000 ton. That's approximately 1,250 loads of gravel.
That's less. That's less than we had before.
Yeah, because the budget
Cost.
is, cost, it's $4.50 a ton to crush it.
Your south pit note, is that the landfill pit or is that the
Yeah.
one out south on the highway?
It's a our pit out south.
And who owns that pit south? Across from.
The airport,
From the airport?
Yeah.
That's
That's
Cypher.
Hagan owns the one on the east side of that road.
And you're getting some of that other material burned up.
It's
That
almost
didn't have
gone.
enough rock,
It's almost gone. So,
so that's good. Get it out of there and
yeah.
so.
Good.
You get a little more rock pushed with this.
We have a pile of rock for the crusher unit, what he requested. It's already piled there for him to mix more rock with the material.
So he can scalp straight rock.
You haven't had enough snow to train anybody yet, have you?
No,
You're not pulling up the
and
chips in.
we're just plugging along, doing what we can because of the cold.
Are you advertising for a new operator?
No.
He's the
I'm the
jack of
backup.
all trades.
I'm the backup.
Look out,
Why would you-
everybody.
Why wouldn't you advertise?
Because when we had a meeting a couple months ago with Braden and Kevin, and the cut costs as far as payroll and insurance that he wasn't gonna replace
Permanently or temporarily?
permanently unless the economy switches around. So I will help wherever needed. Truck driver, grader operator, patching roads, fixing culverts, whatever it needs, take it over.
And that former employee was a blade operator
And truck driver.
and truck driver. Start earning money.
Yeah, get out of the office.
Good, you felt good with the meeting yesterday?
Yes,
You guys are all on board with that.
yes. Fine.
And they said now they don't want to start until July 1.
July 1.
They're gonna wait and do their final audit for their fiscal year and then start.
And we have one more piece of machinery to do, and then I'll get the vehicles for the sheriff's department, the landfill, and the airport in the paper for 2 weeks. On the bids. Or the equipment that's being auctioned off.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good. And we think we've got everything rounded up on the list that we need to.
Yes.
Good deal.
Okay.
Sure. Take that with you.
What is this?
It's just a nice citizen helping you clean a culvert. Wanting to,
Okay,
I'll talk to you later.
okay.
Evan,
Sir,
could I bring something up? For road and bridge?
sure, go ahead.
Thank you. I made this request more than a year ago.
Did you introduce yourself, sir, on the record?
Dallas Anderson, rural Custer County. Thank you. I made this request more than a year ago, and I'm here to make it again. There needs to be a stop sign 264 where it connects to 265. In the last year, I've been literally run off the road by people just turning right there and not even looking to see if anybody was coming. The year before that, I was run off into a snowbank. Took 2 days to get my car out of. So I'd like to see a stop sign.
Okay.
Thank you.
We might visit with Rich on that too. I'm not sure if that's your call or the sheriff's department's call on it?
A stop sign in intersection, you can like put a yield sign, but if it's visible to the left or right when you approach the intersection. It doesn't need a stop sign. You could put a yield sign there. To slow them down. But if it's a visible intersection,
Something would be well.
but I can throw a yield sign up in that intersection,
And that's not what he's asking about,
but
right?
yeah,
So
I can throw a stop sign up too. No biggie.
I'm not familiar with those roads by numbers, so I don't have any
It's out,
input on that.
Boneyard.
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 You know where the fire station is out there? It's 264 is just south of the fire station.
Yeah, because of the uphill slant to that,
Yes,
the visibility is a little shaky in that direction. But people are not even looking north to see if anybody's coming.
I'm assuming it's your decision.
it's my
so-
decision, so I can throw a stop sign up. Just got to do it 8:11 before I put a post in the ground. That's only be the only hold up. So I don't get a phone line.
I don't know why it didn't happen
I
before,
suppose if you could look at that,
but it will be.
Yep.
Great.
appreciate it.
I just forwarded that to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
See you later.
I've had a lot of comments on road work on the permit, gravel permit. Handing out those barges, now people love it, get big rocks out of it.
Finally.
Yeah, it's great. There's rocks in there bigger than.
I gotta meet with you whenever you get time out there.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
You feeling better?
Yeah.
Good.
All right. You guys, gentlemen, good to keep going or do we need a break here?
Yeah, I think so. We just have one left, right? Planning and zoning's all we have left.
Yes.
Yes,
And
just
we'll-
do that. and then we'll
Then
break.
we'll go from there right on into new business. While she's here, so. That's why I was gonna ask if anybody needed a break. for a moment.
Thank you, though.
Take a break after her.
Sure. All right, that makes, where's the, okay. Come and join us.
What is that?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. I'm good.
Good.
How are you this morning? Okay. Just to kind of summarize last year first. We ended the year, our revenue. And well, actually, we were down, we were lower 45 permits compared to last year, total zoning permits. But we did keep our revenue right up to where it was, even a little higher. We ended the year with $381,000 compared to 373,000. So it was a pretty good year in my book, and reflecting back, I think we did pretty good keeping, since the permits were down, we kept our revenue up. So
Mhm.
if we look at January so far this year, first of all, did you guys have any questions about last year's numbers?
I do, if I may, sir.
Please.
So we assessed a fine for some violations for West Cliff meets. And so I thought the other day I probably ought to follow up and see where we're at with that.
Yep.
I visited with Virginia. And she showed me a record, I think it was a December payment. So my question, I guess, is this, do you have knowledge of receiving a regularly monthly payment?
I do. I can't think of his name. The gentleman that's the man that's
Oh.
managing things out there.
Canterbury.
Yeah. Montana, Canterbury. Or
No,
his name was Aaron, he's gone.
nope. Can't think of his name.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
he came in. It's the gentleman I called for the meat for
Okay.
Christmas.
Mhm.
But he did come in and paid that off. So
The whole thing?
Yep, and I
Oh,
believe it was in September or October. No, wait a minute, let me back up. Might have been November that he came in and paid that off in full. It was, he still owed, right, they still owed right around 2,000. A little over
okay,
2,000.
yeah, there was a 2,000 and some dollar posting.
That's what it
But
was.
you believe that was balance due, was just that?
That was according to the records that I had, yeah. They had been making continuous monthly payments and he came in and paid that off.
Would it be too much to ask for a spreadsheet of those payments, dates and amounts from?
I can try to do that. I
It
wasn't,
may be a little hard to track down, but.
yeah, the only payment I took from him
Right,
was the final payment. But I will,
interesting.
I know we have it in his file, so I'll take a look at it and see what I can pull up.
Or I can certainly try to track some of that down.
Not a problem, we can do that.
Beginning date when we assess that fine, but, yeah.
Would have been 2020. Some point.
Yeah,
I can look at that.
okay.
Would be a
We
good
just
thing to make.
never revisited that topic. We said we were going to do that and we never did, so. We try to track that.
I
We
would do
just
that.
assumed it was happening and. So.
Yep.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Okay, then we had, so far for January this year, we are looking at, the same number of total zoning permits. Our revenue is up substantially and I'm contributing a good portion of that increase to the use tax. So we are right now sitting at $35,571 in revenue. And last year in January, we were at 13,318. So the use tax has made a difference in that area, as well as some of the zoning permits, at least 2 of them have been very, very large dwellings. So that's made a difference in the total number of our total revenue brought in just on the permits themselves. So that's contributed. We've also been, we wrote in some documents, or we've been trying to calculate or keep track of the dollars that we're generating from doing compliance. When we go out on Friday and do our compliance isn't the right word. I can't think of what I'm trying to say. Our basically the work that we've been doing out in Lake Deweese and everywhere, sending out letters, we've generated about $2,000 that we've been able to track from that. Just people finally putting in their permits for things. Yeah. So catching those things, it's making a difference. It's at least helping. So. And I'll give you some of what, I'll give you a better report tomorrow in the Board of Health meeting, but some of the issues that we've had, we've probably done this month so far this year, probably sent out over 40 notices for compliance issues. And a lot of them have been major ones. And I will be doing a cease and desist tomorrow with the sheriff's department out at due to waste being dumped on the ground. And I've been trying to work with people so that I'm not, it's winter. Housing is hard to find. However, they need to work with me too. And if they're not going to reply or respond and make an effort, a good faith effort to fix the situation, then we're going to have to do something. So we do have a couple situations like that I'm trying to follow up on and see what options we have for those individuals and work with them.
Okay, good.
Any other questions?
I had a citizen approach me about our movement out in the Lake Deweese area.
I wondered when that would happen.
If it's an illegal septic, it's going to be dealt with. Well, how do you can test for that?
We've had a lot of calls. As a matter of fact, we've had calls from individuals who are fine, but the word is going around out there. We did put red tape and cease and desist every outhouse that we found that was appeared to be active. We still have one area out there that we'll be covering this Friday that we have not gone through. There's a lot out there. There's a lot that needs to be fixed.
You know, that outhouse thing is interesting. I've not looked at the statutes on that, but I wonder. You can own an outhouse. You cannot use an outhouse.
Right.
They can have an outhouse sitting on the property. Do we make them concrete those in, or I don't know how you
Has
mitigate.
to have a board over it for him. Red guy ran the other day.
Yeah.
Looking. So,
Have them put a board
And,
over the hole.
and the actual law's not law, the ordinance is ambiguous too, because depends, there's some. Vagueness in how it's written, so you can have the outhouse, but it's,
Well, the state's passed legislation disallowing the use of
I know that's what I'm referring
Oh,
to.
I thought. I thought you said there wasn't a law, I'm sorry.
No, it's just the way the ordinance is written, there's some flexibility they give her to, just like she's using.
So if they have it has,
You can have a
It has to
chemical
be
toilet
connected
if
to
you
the
already
septic.
have a septic system, you gotta have both in
Mhm.
some cases.
So if you're gonna have a septic, you might as well go the little extra
Right, so you can put
mile.
your chemical toilet,
Do the
still have a
plumbing.
vault, but you gotta have a septic system too, you gotta have
Right.
water.
And some of the things that I'll bring up tomorrow, just some suggestions, and asking some of the contacts that I have. We may be able to look at, is it possible for. If I have is it possible for two different residents or two different lots to share the same leach field? I think there's some opportunity there, but then, are people gonna work together? Are they gonna want to share that cost? I don't know. But
There is another nuance that's kind of interesting, and that is if you have a septic system or a vault. And you pump it and don't dump the water back into the ground in the county, you can't have it. Because our Round Mountain won't let anything go into the septic here, you can't dump water here.
Mhm.
So if you take it out of the county, then that makes it some issue. It's gotta be dumped in the county.
For the water rights.
Well, for the water, that's right. In order to replenish the water, it's based on water in and water out. And they know how much it resin evaporates and puts it back in the ground. Odd.
Yeah, well, Upper Arkansas Water Conservancy District does not want to have any discussion about the water being taken out of this county, because I already tried that. It would be interesting to know how many septic tanks are in this county. And
How many septic tanks are total
Mhm.
in the county? Boy,
I know it'd be
It's a lot.
pretty tough, but
it would be easier for me to tell you how many we need to have added.
yeah.
Well, really, any parcel that has a dwelling attached to that should have a septic. So you could look at it like that and subtract the ones I know that we don't have and maybe give you a ballpark figure.
What would you do with that?
Well, then the idea would be to calculate how much water is being taken out of the county. By dumping septic tanks, by pumping septic tanks.
How many of them are being pumped on a regular basis?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to figure the averages, You figured every tank being pumped every 5 to 7 years, you'd come up with a number. I don't think the number is what the gallons would be so huge. But, I believe technically that is not right. Unless you have a water right to be able to do that. If you would anything else. Because we're taking water out of this county's aquifer system. It doesn't get replaced, right? We're sure replacing it down there on the Arkansas River, most likely.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I never looked at it from that perspective.
yeah. Yeah, if there were 5,000 septic tanks getting pumped every 5 years, that's 1,000 a year on the average. Probably not a drop in the bucket.
Would make a difference.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for the
Thank you.
report. Appreciate it.
All right,
Thanks.
Thanks.
are you bringing?
Yes, am I up next?
Yep,
Okay,
you might as well stay
I
sitting.
might as well just sit back down.
Do
Didn't
that
have to
before
shake
break.
your hands.
You do.
I asked earlier,
I don't care.
are you good to go?
Yeah, I am.
All right.
It's more than
We'll keep
everybody
running
else.
then. So.
This should take a second.
So let me get to you real quick.
Okay.
That concludes the staff reports. Do we have any unfinished business, gentlemen?
No,
Not
sir.
for me.
All right, that will take us to new business, and the first item up would be the consideration of the Fender Helen Bolt SUP.
I am bringing to you the recommendation to approve the Helen Bolt Fender SUP. It is the old, it used to be under the Suns. It's the, I'm thinking what it's called now.
Three Peaks Ranch.
Three Peaks Ranch. They have a wedding venue. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It was a unanimous vote to recommend approval from the planning commission. And the majority of the reasons why they all voted yes was that the management will be living on site and there all the time. The Sons have agreed to stay on for the next year just to shadow them and make sure that the operation is run exactly like it has been in the past.
Yeah, I did see the unanimous decision and the registered letters that went out. Did you receive any?
We received no
feedback?
feedback from the community. Matter of fact, we had one of the neighbors there that was in support of it because they had no, as long as it was ran the same way it was before.
Yeah, I move we accept the recommendation from the board
Okay.
for approval of the SUP.
Good second. Okay, I have a motion on the floor to approve the recommendation. That probably didn't sound right, to approve the recommendation for approval. We're going to say it that way anyway.
Application.
For the Fender Helen Bolt
SUP.
SUP. Any discussion here at the table? Sir.
Yes, found it interesting that all 7 PC members came up with the same reason that they were voting.
Some of them had other comments. It was all positive. It was mainly because the management is on site. And they're gonna stay on with them for the next year. And it's going to be ran exactly like was before.
So can you talk about that a little bit? What does staying on with them mean? Are they gonna live there? Both parties gonna live there or?
I don't believe so. I believe Karen Sund has agreed to be there as they have venues. She'll be there to assist them alongside with them for the next year.
That's a reasonable assumption. And then I see that the vote summary, I guess, that you have provided us, which we had asked for and appreciate that the PC recommended us to approve this with no conditions. Does that mean no additional conditions or there's no conditions at all? What happened to the conditions that were in place before?
All of the conditions that were in place before are still there.
Still in place.
Everything is the same.
Okay,
Yes,
so no additional conditions.
correct. I should have
That's fine.
put that.
Yeah, just need a little clarification there.
Good job.
if I may, sir, want to welcome you gentlemen. Thanks for being here today. Certainly, I don't believe as commissioners, we've been made aware of any issues out there. And I think this is really probably the first time that we've had a short-term rental property change hands. So it's kind of all fairly new territory.
So
Might
this is,
not be quite an accurate statement because it's not an STR.
Did I
This
say
is-
STR?
You said STR, an SUP.
this is the part-time.
Yeah, sorry,
And-
thank you.
We will have the STR come through too.
Yeah.
It'll come in March. I don't think we'll have a problem with that.
Yeah, I had an interesting conversation with the chairman of the planning commission yesterday. About this whole concept of does a special use permit. Quote unquote, go with the land or does it go with the landowner? And the language, there is no language in the resolution currently that really addresses that. There is for short-term rentals, but not for special use permit. And so in our conversation, if these gentlemen decide to, if it truly goes with the person, if they decide to sell that and then buy another piece of property in another part of the county, does that special use permit go with the person? If that's what we all believe, then it would. If it's tied to the property, in this case, I think it should be. So we got some work to do there.
That'd be silly to have it go with
And
the
certainly,
person,
well, that's-
neighbors out, wherever they
I
are.
think
Ask the planning commission what they believe, they will tell you that the special use permit goes with the person.
That's exactly what,
And it doesn't make sense to me. I get the intent.
I believe that when the person leaves, then it expires. It doesn't necessarily.
it doesn't say that
Yeah.
specifically though.
I read every word yesterday and there's nothing. So Keith and I both agreed that that's something that we probably need to look at and get some language in this new revision of the.
Yeah, I will be meeting with Keith and Mary Mowry on February 27th. So we have a 2-hour meeting scheduled and we're gonna go through some of the.
There's gonna be updates for other things too.
Absolutely. We're gonna go through the resolution and kind of set the groundwork for our workshop that we have scheduled too with the planning commission.
So did we vote?
We have not.
We're going down
Part
the
of
path,
the
we don't need to
discussion.
go down
Kind
for
of went
that.
down the rabbit
I don't
hole.
know, this is not right.
You said there was a letter, correct, from one of the landowners?
No, there was a landowner that showed up
Oh,
there.
that was
We didn't
there.
have any
Okay.
letters of
Okay.
opposition or
No letters either way.
no.
Okay.
Any other comment here at the table?
None from me.
Any public comment here in the room? Anything online? I'm not seeing any hands raised. Okay, those in favor then of approving the SUP application for the Fender phone bolt SUP signified by saying aye.
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 Motion carries.
Congratulations back there.
Thank you
very much. Fairly
Thank
big
you again.
step, huh?
Much.
Good to see you. dude.
Thank
I haven't
Thank
seen you
you.
for a few days. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
You paid your penance sitting there all that time. Good to meet you guys.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you. Thank you. John, how you doing, buddy?
Good,
I
how you
didn't
doing?
say hi to you when you come in. I apologize. Thanks for being.
See you
here.
later. Thanks. Good job.
I was just gonna say, like with the, like we have a GP with the federal. They go with the land.
Yes, they should.
Because that, for that area.
Because that area has different.
Right.
needs,
They're all
different
saying you just
different people.
You can leave that.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. It should terminate probably, but then you have to go through the whole process.
That would
again,
probably
so.
need to be inserted in the language.
You know, get them.
All right, you guys good or you need a break?
Let me look at the agenda here.
We have one more item before.
you, let me. I'm good with staying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tough her out.
Next item up would be the consideration of revised BOC administrative assistant job description.
I haven't really had a chance to read it all, but
It's what we worked her over on, it better be this. all the comments.
it's a 2.5 pager, I take it. This is also part of it. Well, I would move that we approve the proposed job description for the BOCC administrative assistant.
I agree, I second.
I have a motion on the floor then to approve the revised job description for the BOCC administrative assistant. Discussion.
Yes, sir. By de facto then, because this is a part-time status job description, are we all in agreement that what part-time means, which I'm not real comfortable with that, but nonetheless, it is addressed here though, correct? 30 hours.
I haven't seen this latest copy.
30 hours, 36,000.
Well, and I made a correction in your folder, because it's not 36, it's 27 from Braden's notes. Which is,
And that's in the,
3/4 of.
and that's in your packet.
okay, thank you. I'll pull it up.
So
It's,
just, so you know,
it's,
The new one is, I got the old.
it
Correct.
supersedes this hard copy.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And that would be
27, you can make the written change.
That's H, document H.
Mhm.
No, it's 30 hours. Oh, you're talking about the salary.
Correct.
Sorry.
27.
The hours per week's the same. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's where we're at, right? We're in agreement that it is 30 hours a week, i.e. therefore, we must also agree that this position is going to be not this position, but the other half of that position is a PIO,
That's right.
right?
Correct.
Because if we voted on this without agreeing on the other, to me, it'd be a little
Yeah,
weird.
yeah.
And have we ever approved that job
I
description?
think we did a long time ago.
Well, yeah.
we have not read.
We have a
It
new
hasn't
hire.
changed, it hadn't changed.
Right. Well, I believe it has
No.
changed significantly.
Well,
right? Our
The
prior
other one was
previous
halftime.
PIO was full-time, wasn't it?
No, it was,
No, it's
He was
halftime.
half.
it was halftime. Have you had a chance to look this over some?
I haven't the details, but if it's what we had.
It's what we talked about. I mean,
Everything we talked about.
The only question that I
Speak
had
to
was, on the new one that you all are looking at, where it's 27,000 a year, does it say with benefits?
Mhm.
I would suggest that we strike that, because I think,
It didn't
Oh,
say,
yeah.
it
It
didn't
wouldn't
say it
carry.
on mine.
right, it would, you would still have benefits, because as a county employee, you're 40 hours, but as the position on its own.
Position, if we broke it out, would be something.
I've made that correction.
So it would be $27,000 per year. Paid monthly. Correct.
Oh, sorry. Tom.
Whoops, oh. Hands off up here. How's that?
Yeah, don't touch
I
it,
got
Tom.
Thank you.
You've got her under control.
Yeah.
Send it down.
For job, Tom.
And I'm gonna allow a minute for everybody to go ahead and scan through here because we did kind of receive the short. If there's anything
Yeah,
else,
right.
let's see.
He sends a draft sometimes.
But I didn't.
We
I
didn't
had
have that in
updated
there.
the things
Yeah.
that we had discussed.
And I know we talked about it, and apparently we all agreed. Now the admin assistant's going to be the scale house administrator. Yes? Tell you. You in line with that?
Yeah.
Why not?
Well,
Which means I probably need to go through scale house training.
exactly.
And does that need to be included?
Oh, you mean for weighing?
Certified to be able to weigh.
I guess that's up to you guys.
No reason why not, unless there's.
What's your thought?
How many
I'll-
times did you
I'll
have?
still keep my certification,
Okay.
just because if she's not around or, you
Yeah,
need a certified weight and no
Right.
one's around. Right now, Dave and I are the only two
correct,
certified.
and that's,
We had a problem
That's been
with
an
Dave
issue.
being able to get
Yeah.
here, and so that's why we talked about her doing it. One
I
of the
guess
reasons.
the accurate question should have been, what does scale house administrator mean? I don't really say that here, but
I think just.
billing mostly.
handling the billing,
right?
yeah.
But I would also think it'd be good to have a third person certified to run that.
Be
scale.
able to open it up.
You guys,
And I
do
can
you
give
agree
you the
with that?
information on that. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. It's not,
Is that a online training, do you know?
no,
Or do they have
it's
to
just,
come up?
Step
it's a
this
little
way, and
booklet
here's your
that you
book
read,
that
and
you
then
read.
Take a test, and I email the test to the person at the state and they approve it. And they don't, normally they charge you for that, but since we're county, they don't charge us for that.
And you could provide that service for.
Yes.
You would be the proctor.
You good with that?
Yeah, I'm
As
fine.
part of the administrator?
Yeah. And then once she gets certified, I could turn that service over to her.
And she could train. Did we make a motion yet? I think we
Yes, so
did.
were
Yes,
there
we
any
do have a
other
motion on
things
the
that-
floor. We're in the discussion phase.
And then on the, which pages are it? Numbered second page. I believe, let me look. Yeah, second page under the job description, right at the top, responsible for ordering supplies for BOC's custodial and buildings and grounds. Is that? Does that have a potential to change based on what we do with the?
Now, this is the cleaning supplies and office supplies, I think. I don't think it has
Right.
anything to.
Building and grounds, like, Dave has come to me saying, hey, we need filters, air filters.
Change.
So I'm wondering if we should just drop off.
Leave buildings and grounds off there, because custodial covers everything.
Pardon?
I agree.
Take it off.
Take it off, but
Yeah.
custodial. is really-
Well, I'm thinking it may change. That's the thing. If
Not a
we
problem, got it.
track that, B, you think that makes sense or not?
Yeah, and that's kind of in line with my, I think only other suggestion would be adding in other duties as assigned.
Instead of buildings and grounds or just
Well,
somewhere.
a
No.
separate bullet.
Separate bullet, like, and that's always been the case.
You want to add that? Ms. Jennifer?
Gotcha. Under the.
That way she can't say,
Uh,
take it to
second
the
page,
union and we're not
job
gonna do it, because it's not in my contract.
We need to take off and buildings and grounds. Delete that. You're on the right page, second page, the top.
Last
three
bullet.
Process
on the
monthly
top.
expense reports and timesheets.
Nope,
No, 3 bullets, third bullet. down.
Third bullet,
Oh, gotcha.
we could take the last 3 words off.
And then add a bullet.
I do have the underneath. The. Performs clerical duties on page 1, other reasonable activities assigned by the BOCC. Should that not be nested there, or
Where is it?
it's under the third bullet, sorry. On the first page. Performs other clerical duties for BOCC, including,
No.
and it's the very bottom one.
Nah,
That's
it needs-
different
It's
than
different. It
what
needs to be
Just making
other things like
So if we can finish,
sweep the sidewalk. No.
we can just add
No, I know you
another
would.
4th bullet right there where you're at, then.
Okay, gotcha.
Other duties as.
Mine is not changing. Oh, it's not.
That's because she. She won.
Additional, what was it? Additional,
Other duties as assigned.
should I say by BOCC or just?
No, it's,
Well,
Things just.
that's implied.
Perfect. Just checking.
making coffee, I guess, falls under that.
It does.
Hey, I get to drink it too.
Yeah, mine didn't change.
I'm gonna drop that comment.
It's fresh. And it should change.
You wanna get rid of that comment after custodial on the third bullet?
Yes, I thought I did that. I did not, you know,
No.
gotcha.
Thank you. Whoops,
On the
there you go.
person. Okay,
Anybody see anything else they would like to address?
Should the job description indicate who is going to do the performance reviews, or does that matter?
Yeah, it does. Because we had
On the
it.
very last page. On your left hand at the bottom. Or the-
She reports to the board. And last time when we did this, we all three had an input on it. Passing around
If you wanted to, you could say by
by the
by
BOCC.
supervisor. And then we've got supervision listed out, so.
Yeah.
That should be fine.
so performance reviews by supervisors?
Yeah.
And then the supervision provided by the Board of County Commissioners.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Under knowledge, skills and abilities, could you make those all bullet points?
Yes, I just followed it the way that it was originally. But yeah, it's got bothered me too. Trying not to. think too Okay.
Just make a statement, say knowledge, ability to, and then once, and then you full ties everything.
I can do that too.
Well, you're not.
And I would say now, I mean, if Dave wants something ordered, he could still come in, correct?
Until, yeah.
Yeah.
Until you all make that change.
I know you have been doing that for him.
Yeah, and he doesn't need that much, especially since he can go to.
The hardware store, yeah.
Mhm.
I can see you're making those changes.
You can.
I was, yeah, she was making changes I was gonna bring up there after she made the other changes.
Okay. Oh, wait.
Braden, I was waving at the person behind you.
Didn't
Did you wave back?
wave at me?
He did, he didn't.
Okay. Got him?
That's all I have, sir.
Still moving things around here, so. I'm gonna- Need a space in.
I
that
know,
one you
I
just-
see it.
Okay.
They can see it in real time when I make correction. All right,
For her typing instructor now, so.
yes,
Effectively wouldn't be capitalized.
yes, it was not.
Okay. Anything else, gentlemen? No, you can't see the changes. Does that look pretty good to you?
Yeah, it looks great.
That address a lot of that stuff. Well, the changes made, the changes discussed.
And that changes
What I heard.
what we're voting on.
Okay.
After it was made.
Okay. Any other discussion here at the table? Okay, anything from the room? And anything online? Not seeing any hands raised. Okay, those in favor of approving the job description for the BOCC administrative, let's see, BOCC administrative assistant job description as amended here today. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Any additional items of business, gentlemen?
Down here.
No, sir.
Would you email that to everybody?
That brings us to public comment. So anybody that would like to make a public comment at this time, feel free to do so, please. Dallas. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you sit back down.
Dallas Anderson again. I was thinking about your conundrum about the SUP. And occurs to me that an SUP has to be requested by a person. Therefore, what you're approving is a person to operate an SUP. And in the paperwork, you can specify that it be operated at a particular address. And that way a person could not just move from one location to another and claim they still own the SUP. They'd have to go through the process again. And, by selling it, you would still be specified the original person. So the new owner would have to request it. That's just my thoughts on it.
Good thought. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, sir.
Good point. I think the first part of your statement's probably not completely accurate. I think corporations can also apply for SUP. Wouldn't have to be a person. I think there's language in here about that, but your point's well taken regardless, yeah.
Take a recess. Or you adjourn to a executive session.
We'll probably, maybe when I recess before we go into executive session,
Yeah.
I'll do it then.
Yeah, I know, San Francisco, there's language in there, either a real person or what is a real person, well, it's different than a corporation.
Yeah, you're right. Corporations are considered independent.
It's an entity.
Okay, any comments online? I'm seeing nothing there. Okay. I would entertain a motion to go into executive session. Or I can make said motion.
We can take a recess and then come back and do that.
I'm gonna make the motion first and
Then
then,
go.
and then we'll recess it. We have to make the motion first.
I move that we go into executive session
For
for
the
the purposes of personnel. Action.
And attendance. Who would you like?
Brayden,
attend?
Wilson. And Because we don't need a recorder.
I still-
You're still gonna be
So in attendance would be Braden Wilson, Kelly Clerk,
commissioners,
and
three
the
commissioners.
three commissioners.
Second,
He mentioned it.
Change my name.
Kelly Clerk.
Kelly.
Did I say Kelly Clerk?
Kelly, the clerk. Kalele,
That's to get the smile, okay, with an E. Okay. Did I have a second on that?
Yes, I seconded that.
Okay, so I do have a motion on the floor to go into executive session for the purpose of personnel. And those in attendance would be Braden Wilson, Kelly Kemper, Bill Kanda, Kevin Day, and Tom Flower. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that being the case, I will recess this BOCC meeting, and we will convene an executive session here in 5 minutes. So we are now in recess. Okay, Kelly, go ahead. Okay, the time is now 12:13 PM. And the executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were Commissioner Kevin Day, Commissioner Tom Flower, Commissioner Bill Kanda, HR Director Braden Wilson, and Clerk to the Board Kelly Camper. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record now. Okay, and I would state that the discussion stayed on track. And I'm not hearing anyone voicing any concerns at this time. I would entertain a motion to adjourn our BOCC meeting.
Also move.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor to adjourn. Those in favor say aye.
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 Meeting adjourned.